I'm Lisa Berry.
Arlene Schofield.
My name is Shireen Snow.
My name is Carla A. Miles.
Diana Camuto.
This is Christine Dunford.
I'm me, Eden.
Caroline Macy. This is Walker Fannin.
Lydia Camille Dixon.
I'm Sarah Dates Wardam.
My name is Linda Preston, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 457. I am your host, Keith Andrew, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network. And we're here today with our special guest, Jordon Jett. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thanks for inviting me.
Now, the honor's all mine. And now, for people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and to prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. It's to prove to them you can break the label. So hashtag break the label. So that being said, half hour, 36 minutes of your time. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Well, starting off, I am an actor in Jacksonville, Florida. Originally from Lexington, Kentucky. I have a bachelor's degree in filmmaking, so that's how I kind of got my start in acting. I lived most of my life here in Florida. But yeah, it's pretty much just a little bit about me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see my reflection. I'm in the dark. Just give me 1 second.
No
but
problem.
The next question I was going to ask you is, who influenced you to become an actor? And have you ever worked with big names?
Who influenced me? I've had a lot of influences when it comes to acting. Really, I have like my top 5 favorite actors. I'd have to say Will Smith was my inspiration. I loved his movies growing up. Growing up in the 90s, Men in Black, Independence Day, Bad Boys. All his movies are great to me. Have I ever worked with any big names? No, not yet. I'm hoping to one day.
Give it time. Now, you mentioned you're a filmmaker. Do you make what people say puff pieces? Or do you make hardcore documentaries? So what type of films do you make?
Well, I went to college, so I got my 4-year degree. So I've spent 4 years making multitude of different types of projects. I've worked on music videos, worked on commercials, PSAs, documentaries, short films, featured films, a lot of stuff. I've kind of dipped here and there in a lot of the stuff. I have made one short film. I went to go film it in New York. I never really took it to any film festivals because we had a lot of editing issues and a lot of films that happens with. But I realized later on, towards the end of my 4-year degree, that I liked acting. I found a passion for acting because in film school, yeah, I got to direct, but I was mainly a lighting guy. I did a lot of the gaffing and stuff like that, a lot of behind the scenes. But then I realized I liked being in front of the camera too. And it was just so much more fun for me.
No, I was the same way. When I went to my school, I was part of the audiovisual. Excuse me, I was part of the audiovisual department. I was doing lights and sound. I was always running around with the camera. But this is actually the first time where I wanted to be seen. Usually, I don't want to be seen.
Yeah,
and people are saying, how's that even work? You want to be a talk show host, but you don't want to be seen. Because when I first started, it was pretty much, how you see on the camera the reflection. I would be in the little box, you would be in the full screen. And people are like, well, if you really want this to be taken seriously, you have to get your head out of your ass. It's like you can't have it both ways. It's it's not McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's not have it your way. So it's kind of like you have to negotiate. I'm thinking, I want to do this until I die. I want to get out there. So any way possible, getting myself out there. You have to be seen. You have to throw yourself out there so people can take you seriously.
Mm-hmm. I totally understand, because at first I never wanted to be in front of the camera. But, when you first get started in, like, film production and filmmaking, stuff like that, you have limited resources. So you pretty much got to do everything yourself. So I was not only the actor, but I was the director, producer, writer, sound guy, lighting guy. Like, I got to be a little bit of everything throughout school. And but like you said, like it's not easy, and you need to be seen. And me personally, I feel like directors should have a little bit of an acting experience, in my personal opinion, because in that way they're able to direct the actors a little bit better, because then they know what the actor is going through and how they, deal with the process and stuff like that. So I totally agree that everyone should have a little bit of camera time.
No, absolutely. It's always good to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you, it's going back to my book of interview on questions, actually. The first one I was going to ask you, some hard-hitting questions, and why not go back to the basics? The first one I was going to ask you, did you ever have a conflict on stage when you were doing a film?
Wait, what do you mean by conflict? Is it a specific?
For an example, someone who's being a pain in the ass and didn't want to do what you were telling them, but you had to make them do it anyway.
Yeah, I've dealt with that, like, not only as an actor, but as a filmmaker as well. Because, like, in the film industry, sometimes you just gotta, if you have an issue with somebody, you're not gonna get along with everybody. Like, that's just plain and simple. You'll never be everybody's best friend. But you gotta learn how to, like, pretty much, you gotta suck it up for the project, or, like, for, your job and stuff like that. And I've dealt with some hard-headed actors working with, where they think they know everything, they think they're better than everybody. Sometimes you just got to keep your mouth shut and just, unless, if they step over a certain line or boundary, that's when, I'll kind of be like, all right, dude, like, calm down, sit down, and, like, let's just chill, okay? But any other time, like, you just got to know you got to work with different people to know how to deal with certain people. And as a filmmaker, you can't be, a lot of times you can't keep your mouth shut, because, you don't want people to take advantage of you, be like, oh, he's not going to say anything if I do this or if I do that. And sometimes you got to put your foot down. You got to know when to be serious and when to kind of be like, okay, let's just let this die out for a few minutes, So there's different ways of handling with different people.
No, I deal with that on an everyday basis. So I can relate. Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, can you give me a time when your work was criticized?
All the time. I mean, when, like, acting-wise...
Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's like, acting-wise, I criticize my work all the time. I mean, and as a filmmaker, like, I could have... Like, when I'm acting, I'm like, oh, I could have, like, moved my body differently. I could have said that differently. I could have done this differently. Or, same thing as a director. Like, when you're watching your film, be like, crap, we should have done this angle. We should have, changed the audio up on this shot. Like, I'm always criticizing my stuff. I get criticized all the time by myself. And honestly, if I can criticize myself, then other people's criticisms won't really bother me. Because I will already have dissected what they're already going to say. But sometimes I encourage people to criticize my work. Like, when I put out a new film, or like, I'm like, hey, check out my demo reel. I want people to give me criticism. Like, hey, tell me what you think, good or bad. Because, it's going to help me in the long run, no matter what.
No, I agree. Unfortunately, I do. Not unfortunately, but I agree with you. Unfortunately, I'm in the same situation. I'm constantly being criticized, by my acquaintances, by my family, by certain people. They're always, nitpicking and like little things. But the biggest thing is your biggest enemy is yourself. So
Yes.
if you can overcome that, everything else is just white noise. You can just move on and say, yeah, me, whatever, but I'm actually raking in money, so what are you doing?
Exactly. That's exactly how you got to see it.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, did you ever have a role that was too hard to do, and how did you get through it?
There was one role that was a little hard for me. Because a lot of times I was starting out, because of my body size and the way I was built, I always played the bad guy or the bully type thing. I played the a-hole. Like I was always that guy. And there's one project I worked with the guy. He had a learning disability as well. Like he was on the now correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how to like say this right, but like he was on the spectrum for autism.
Okay.
So he had that disability, and he directed a film that he wanted me to play in, and it was about his struggles, like as someone on the spectrum for autism, like what they go through and stuff like that. And I had to play the bully who had to beat up someone like that. And it kills me because I have a little cousin who's on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
And like me and him are like so good of friends and stuff, but like I hate people who like pick on others like that, and it was hard for me to be that character who does it. So the only way I could get through it, and I'd walk up to the other actor and I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna do this, are you okay with that? And they're like, yeah. And then the moment we called cut, I'd like apologize to him, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then like when the film finally came out and I watched it, I was like cringing the whole time. I was like, I know people are gonna like be like, oh, that's the guy who beat up the other, the one kid. And that was one of the hardest things I had to do.
No, I agree with you. And now, what about the next question I was going to ask you is, did you ever take acting classes? I know you hinted towards this in the beginning and off the air, but for people watching, did you ever take acting classes? And what type of classes did you have to take to get to where you are today?
Yes, I have taken acting classes, and I'm still in the process of taking acting classes, because just because you take a few acting classes, you're not going to be the best actor. You got to keep practicing. It's like, when I go to the gym, I'm not going to be strong just right off the bat. I got to keep going, keep practicing, and keep doing it until I feel like I'm ready for like a competition. So same thing with acting. Like I take classes up in Jack's Beach. It's with Tandem Media, so I'm gonna give them a quick shout out to help advertise a little bit. But they really helped me get out of my safe zone, like my comfort zone. They've pushed me into doing different things. They taught me to think of acting as like being an athlete, which was really easy for me to kind of comprehend because I played football in high school. So they were pretty much telling me, they're like, an actor is like an athlete. The script is their playbook. Their lines are the plays, their routes. An athlete can't just like look at the playbook once and like go out there and do it. They got to read it. They got to know it. And like it's the back of their hand, go out there and run their route. It's the same thing with acting. You got to know everything. You got to know what the other person's going to say. So they put me through all types of training and stuff like that. And they've made me a better actor. And I'm still working with them to make me even better than what I am right now. Because I don't consider myself like the best there ever was, or, I consider myself, mediocre, pretty decent, but I want to get better. Eventually I want to get better to where I can, really grab people's attention.
I feel the same exact way. Every interview, it's not going to be, I'm not Derek Jeter, or I don't know who's the next Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
I'm not constantly going to be hitting home run after interviews. Some are going to be great. Some are really shitty. And that's mostly my fault because I do have a disability and I hesitate. And I know it's like, if you're, I'm trying to find the words. I'll give you an example right now. If you have chemistry with someone, it's fun. It's a fast pace.
Yeah.
There's someone who's willing to give you like, okay, one-word answers like that and walk around like, oh, that was fun. What else you want to ask me? It's kind of like, it's a waste of my time. But if you're gonna be spot on, funny, making jokes, being active, then it's going fun. So that's interviews are gonna fly by. If you're just like, sinking like the Titanic, for a bad example, it's gonna be like pulling hair out of your head.
No, I totally agree with that. Like you have to be able to find that medium with people that you work with, so it's not like it's a dragging like time. Like if you're talking to someone for like if you're on if I'm traveling with a co-star or something like that, and like we're on the road together, or if we're like on a plane together and it's over like an hour, we can't just sit in silence and make it all weird. Like we got to find something to talk about, joke about, and you just got to feel a person out and see what their dislikes and stuff are like.
Then again, you can always have fun with it. I messaged my brother a while ago because we can say we shared a room, and he was watching TV, and I went over to him. I was like, "Do you like? So how is it? Do you like baseball? I like baseball. Who do you like? The Mets? Mets? Yeah, Mets are good. Okay, good talk."
I've had a lot of talks like that too. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, I guess the conversation's over now.
I just like messing with people too. So it's always good to have fun.
Yeah, it is. It's always I love messing with people too. Like I'm a big jokester and stuff like that. So a lot of times on set, like you'll hear me cracking up and just having a good time. Like you can't take everything too serious.
Yeah, I agree. Now every time I look down, I'm just looking at my paper, so I'm not like staring at the floor right now.
No, you good.
So the next question I was going to ask you is, do you have any projects that you're working on, and what motivates you to become an actor, or what motivates you to do what you're doing?
Okay. So I'll answer the first question. I have a few projects I'm working on right now. We're actually getting ready to film episode 2 of a series that we're filming here in Jacksonville. It's called Replica. You can find it on Facebook. Just type in Replica. You can kind of search through it and it'll show up, and I'll be on the cover photo. And that one's a lot of fun. I get to work with a lot of different people. A lot of guys I've worked with in college are on the crew, stuff like that. So it's kind of like, it's really cool to see some of my old classmates and, hang out and catch up and stuff like that. I got a few projects lined up. I got some work in Tampa I recently did. I'm getting ready to go to a table reading in Orlando. Last night I just got an email for a callback audition in Tallahassee for another series, stuff like that. So I'm constantly trying to find work. It's not always going to be paid, and I know that, but I got to start somewhere and build up my resume before I can really venture out and try to get some paid gigs. Now the second question was what motivates me to be an actor?
Yes.
It's just I can't really explain the feeling that it is to be an actor, because you gotta just experience it, because it's so much fun. Like you get to be a completely different person, part of a different world, and like my favorite feeling is like I get to read what's on paper, and then when I see the project in the final edit, I'm like, wow, we brought that to life. Like it's such a great experience, because the moment between the moments of action and cut, the entire like world that we live in doesn't exist for like a few seconds or a couple minutes, and you just get to go into an entire different world. And that's what motivates me, is just to really bring something to life, just to have fun and be something new. Like I can go from anywhere from being like a Viking to like an FBI agent to anything. Like you could just be switching back and forth. You get to play different roles and different experiences, and it motivates me, because I love acting. I feel like I've been acting since I was a little kid, because I grew up as an only child, and a lot of the times, like some of my friends couldn't come out and play, and my family lived more up north, so I'd spend a lot of time like playing by myself. So you get done watching Power Rangers, you go outside, and you get to be the good guy, but then you also have to be the bad guy at the same time. So I felt like maybe in a way I was a little bit kind of preparing myself to be an actor, because originally I didn't want to go into film or acting. This was my plan B for college.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of people say it's always, what do you prefer? A lot of people say it's always good to be the bad guy. What do you think?
Ooh. Everyone wants to be the good guy, and I totally agree with that. It's fun to be the good guy, but it's also fun to be bad at times, because I've played the bad guy a lot. But like in movies, like a lot of times, especially today's movies, like especially your Marvel movies, stuff like that, they make the bad guys vulnerable. They make the villains very vulnerable, so you can almost like sympathize with them, be like, okay, I get why they're doing this, but you're still a bad guy. And sometimes the best actors are the bad guys. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my heroes and all that, but sometimes the villains are just the best. Like, for example, one of my favorite actors who plays a villain is John Travolta. Great bad guy. Evil dude, but he's also, like, he plays a good guy. And that's my opinion, is, like, if you get a chance, be a bad guy. In acting, don't be a bad guy in real life, but...
For me, my favorite actors or villains, I would say, trying to think off the top of my head, Loki, the guy that does Loki, he's really good. Let's see. Power Rangers, the guy who did Goldar.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. Why am I drawing a blank? Kerrigan Mayhem, he's a great guy. Goldar can either go either way, but Goldar and Lord Zed was really good.
Yeah.
If the person has like a backstory, like Dragon Ball Z, like Prince Vegeta, they have one of my favorite cartoons, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z. In fact, me and a buddy of mine, nerd alert right now. We run a Dragon Ball Z fan page, Like, I agree with you. Prince Vegeta, he's my all-time favorite. He has the best character development.
What about how you feel about Future Trunks? See, he's second. He's second best.
I kind of liked him. I don't really like him in Super right now, but that's a whole different topic and conversation.
But my favorite, hands down, is Goku, Vegeta, and Future Trunks. Future Trunks, it's like the Terminator. It's pretty much, the androids, and you can relate. It's kind of funny how, did you saw the whole thing with Evil Goku and Samatsu, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, Trunks, you're the bad guy because you ruined things. And
yeah.
I found it very interesting.
That was an interesting take that they did on that.
They should have just left it as Evil Goku. I seen it said, it's Zamatsu, and now it's two of them. It's kind of like, couldn't you just leave it as an Evil Goku? Let's make it easier. You just had to take a giant dump on it.
That's so true.
Now, my number question I was going to ask you is, do you believe in a life in space? And I'm going to ask you some more hard-hitting questions off the subject. Do you believe in life in space, and do you believe in aliens?
What was the first question?
Do you believe in life in space?
What is that?
Like, do you believe there's life on other planets?
Oh, yes.
It's funny. I have dreams, there's aliens and UFOs, and I'm trying to get their attention. Take me. I had enough of this. Trump is a horrible president, and you leave me with all the messed up people, with all the criminals. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
Or can you at least give me superpowers? And they're like, no, what superpowers do I want? Make me Son Goku. I want to become Son Goku. do something here. Make my life more interesting. Or get me the hell out of here. What about you? If you ever saw a UFO, what would you say? Get me the hell out of here, or ask for superpowers?
Oh, I'd have to go with the superpowers. I'd want the ability to do godlike things.
All right, something simple. It's like, okay, if you can't make me Son Goku or superpowers, can you make it so I don't have to wear glasses? And that's simple enough.
that would be nice, like supervision.
Or take away my learning disability. But the next question I was going to ask you is, you did mention in the beginning, you worked with someone with disabilities. Do you prefer to work with people with disabilities, or not really?
I mean, I like working with all different types of people. I've actually had experiences where I've worked with people who've had disabilities, and I've learned a lot more from them than I would, like, anyone who doesn't have a disability.
Right.
Like my head football coach back in my senior year, he helped teach the ESE children and all that, and like sometimes we'd have to go to meetings in his room, and we got to get to know some of those guys and the girls and stuff, and it was just, some people with disabilities are just they're a lot more happier, if that makes any sense. I've noticed that because they're a lot more strong-willed, and I like being around people like that. If that makes any sense.
No, I agree with you. Now, my last two questions, I'm going to ask you, then we've got to take a commercial break.
Okay.
What motivates you to do what you do, and what is your dream job?
Honestly, my drive, that's what motivates me. I know I can do a lot, and I want to like be able to prove that not only to everybody else in my family but myself. I'm just a very, like, I guess I'm a hard-headed, like, stubborn person. I'm very determined when I set my mind on something, and acting is what it is. Like, I love it, and I feel like I'm good at it, but I can be better, and I can eventually become really good at it. It's just like anything else. You can talk about it all day, but if you're not doing anything, then there's no motivation there. Because I could sit at home and be like, hey, I want to be an actor. I want to do this. I want to do that. But if I'm not doing it, there's no motivation there. So like I set out and I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. And if I fail, I fail. And, there's nothing wrong with failing at that, because I'd rather be, 20 years down the road saying, hey, I was an actor. I gave it a shot. Didn't turn out too well. But that way I'm not regretting that I never tried it at all. So that's what really motivates me, is just not having that regret. And I know I can, accommodate for something.
No, absolutely. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break, and what's the remaining time, I'm going to pass the show over to you.
All right.
It's Russo.
Me, Mark Medley.
Hi everybody, this is Mark Neely.
Barry Babick.
This is Peter Bruno.
My name is Kyle Collier. This is Julio Santiago, better known as Dynamite.
I'm Richard Epcar.
Orange Chow. This is Kerrigan Mahan.
And this is Goldner.
And we both support
Keith Andrew.
My name is Ron Wasserman, and I am supporting Keith Andrew on what he is doing, and you better do the same, or I'm gonna come kick your ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 457. I'm here with Jordon Jett, and what's the last 8 minutes left of the show? I'm going to pass it over to you. Was there anything you wanted to know, talk about, promote? This is your time, after all.
Okay. Why don't you give me a little bit more, like where are you from? Like what was your, what was it like growing up with a learning disability?
All right. Pretty much I'm like you, only I learn at a slower pace. I read and learn at a 5th grade level. I was never good enough to go to college. Pretty much my school took a dump on me. Basically, they said on the first day, oh, we know your son has a disability, but we promise you, after these 4 years, he'd be a functional adult. He can go get a job, do what he wants. Nope. Go read a book, read the newspaper, sit in the back of class, don't bother me. So I did that for 4 years, and when I joined the audiovisual department, I found something I liked. They tried taking it away from me. They're, it's trying to make, think of his name, Festus Road. Hey, you spend so much time here to do other things. Hey, yo, Adrian. One of those things, and try to take it away, or they would start harassing the people in charge. My teacher called down, and every day the phone would ring, and the guy, Mr. O, would look at the phone. Even though God rest his soul, he passed away. But he had a big influence on my life. And Mr. O would look at the phone and be like, oh, Jesus. And his assistant would be like, who is that? Take a guess. And because my teacher would always call down and harass him, what's Keith there? Is he there? What is he doing? What is he saying? It's like, how about you, when I'm not in your class, leave me the hell alone. And when I'm in your class, okay, whatever. But she used to follow me around, antagonize him, and antagonize the other person who I liked. And she used to come down. It's like, why do you want to be here? They're just sitting around. So she was a real pain in the ass. But, yeah, for the longest time, I have a learning disability. And I said, I'm going to show you what's a disability, what I can accomplish. I call it the boomerang. I throw it. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I can get out of this because I'm handicapped, I have special needs, blah, 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 blah. And when the boomerang came back, it whacks you upside the head saying, yeah, now people know you as the kid with disabilities. Oh, you're Mr. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that.
Okay.
And the long story short, I used my dad for an inspiration. I used one of my siblings for an inspiration. But what broke the camel's back is I used to sit with my family, and we used to have dinner, and one of my brothers would be like, I don't know what to do with my life, I don't know what to do with this and that. And they're like, oh, go talk to him, go talk to her, she knows people, why don't you take the state exam, blah, blah, blah. And I said, what about me? And everyone used to stop and look at me and say, what about you? Why do you piss people off? I don't know, it seems to be like a knack I have. I piss people off. I can't hold down a job. I'm not educated. I have poor people skills. And I'm not qualified. And you probably got to be in a group home or whatever for the rest of your life. Because you got to be a burden. And I said, screw it. I'm going to show you it's a disability. Look at what I can accomplish. And for the past 4.5 years, this June will be 5, I'm showing people, hey, you call me handicapped, retarded, but look at what I'm capable of doing when I'm persistent or I have the passion. So I'm turning those naysayers into motivation. I'm not prove you wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's really inspirational. Do you have any, is there any, big celebrity that has ever, kind of giving you some sort of inspiration, whether it was an actor or whatever, form of celebrity there is?
I'm trying to get him back on the show. It's Michael Landsberg. He's, I don't know if you heard of him, but he does, the wrestling interviews if I'm off the record. And he was a guest on my show. And he says when you interview someone, you have to push, but don't be a dick about it. But you have fun, and the person would push back, so make it more interactive. Don't ask multiple questions at the same time. But he was close to me during the interview, so he was one of my favorites. Okay. And I would love to have him back on the show. I've been asking him, off the record, it's been off the air. I said, how would you like to do a special interview of Keith Network Presents Off the Record, and where he's interviewing me? I would love to be interviewed by him. So it's something that we've been working really cool on. But, I would love to do a follow-up interview with him. But, it's... Hey, I'm just proving people wrong. Labels don't dictate who you are and who you're going to be. And it's proved them we can break the labels.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I see as the people who tell you can't do something, they're my favorite kind of people. Because they put fuel on the fire and they make me want to do it even more. So that's just really the attitude you got to have is, no matter what's, happening to you, or if you have a disability, you can't let that, be in the way. There's going to be so much adversity, and adversity will knock you down. But what really matters is how many times you get back up and just keep going.
It's kind of like Fester Simone says, it's not about how hard a life hits you, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, and because that's what winners do.
Yeah. That's my favorite quote from the Rocky movies.
Now, it's the last 2 minutes left. With the first two, I do have a couple questions for you off the air about wrapping up your show. Are you on social media, number one? And number two, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction and what made you say yes?
Well, first I'll answer the question, and then I'll talk about the social media. When you first asked me to be a guest on your show, I was kind of like, all right, well, let me check out this guy. Let me see what he's all about. Because I saw one of your posts in one of the actor group pages in Facebook. So I noticed it, and I read the bio, and I was like, that's really inspirational. Like, I like that feeling that you had. Like, that made me pumped, and I'm like, you know what, this guy, he's got a learning disability, and he's wanting to prove to people. Because that's all I've done all my life, too, is even though I don't have any disabilities, I've always wanted, like, don't tell me I can't do something. So, like, that vibe kind of inspired me, and I wanted to get on your show, and that way I can help promote you and stuff. So that's what made me want to do this, because I wanted to meet you. I wanted to see what you were about, because that kind of stuff, I love that kind of interaction with people. I love hearing other people's stories, the struggles that they've gone through. So that's the real reason why I wanted to be a part of the show.
Yes, if it's a possibility, I'd love to work with you.
Yeah, definitely. Social media wise, I do have a Facebook page. It's for my actors page. It's Jordon Jett -actor. And you'll probably be able to find it pretty easily. My Instagram is @JordonJettActor, no spaces. I do have a Twitter. I don't really use it that often, but I do have one, and it's @JJett _actor. And I do have an IMDb page, so just go on imdb.com and type in my name. You should be able to find me.
It's funny. I created an IMDb page, but I lost interest in it, because I wasn't able to add anything to it. So it's kind of like, yeah, great, I have a picture, but I can't do anything with it. So what's the point?
Yeah, it is pretty pointless to have an IMDb page if you know. But, like, I would still keep it around just in case, who knows, maybe this show, may be able to take off one day, and then you can put that on there, and you can put all the other, like, actors or like, big people that you worked with.
That's true. And also, are you on LinkedIn?
No, I'm not. I need to make a LinkedIn. I need to make one.
I do have a couple questions for you off the air about wrapping up our interview segment. It was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Yes, I would love to come back and talk, and maybe have some of my other acting coworkers, stuff like that, give you a call and see if they can set some interviews.
Yeah, the more better. I've been trying to do double and group interviews, so everyone's more than welcome.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate being part of the show.